Foodie beauties, what is up, guys? I missed you guys. I feel like I've been away for so long. It hasn't been that long. So yeah, welcome to my first episode of, oh, and Harry Bush's gotta be in here. Welcome to my very first episode of Mysterious Mondays. So basically this series, you know, I have my creepypasta series, which is a pasta dish on Fridays with a spooky story, like a creepypasta, talking about creepypastas. This is going to be talking about mysteries, and things that really interest me are unsolved mysteries with that extra creep factor. So today, again, feel free to leave suggestions in the comments below if there's any cases you would like me to talk about. This one today that's always bothered me since I've heard about it a few years ago was the case of Tara Lee Calico. So has anyone heard about that case? And today for snack, there's a whole bunch of cheese sticks. Yeah, so let's have a bite. So, Tara Lee Calico was 19 years old when she disappeared on September 20th of 1988 near her home in Belling, New Mexico. And she's been missing ever since. She has not been found. She had told her mother she was going out for a bike ride like she did every morning at 9:30 a.m. She grabbed her Walkman. Remember Walkman? She grabbed her Boston tape, which in the 80s was big. You know that band that sings more than a feeling, more than a feeling, na 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 na. Anyway, you get it. I won't torture you. So she goes for a routine bike ride like she would, you know, any morning. Now, when she didn't return early in the day, as she normally would have, and she had other commitments around, I think, noon that she had to attend, so her mother was expecting her back before then, you know? She didn't come home, so her mother panicked, you know, the whole shebang. She never came home. Police were alerted. Full extensive search was done. No body and no bicycle were ever recovered. What they did recover, however, was her Walkman and the Boston tape. Another interesting thing to note was that her mother used to go on bike rides with her. However, she stopped going for bike rides when she felt that a motorist was stalking her, which, you know, she tried convincing her daughter to carry some mace and everything, but she never did. So 19-year-old Tara Lee Calico missing. And what's funny, what's eerie is she was never found. No evidence of anything left behind. A year goes by, and in July of 1989, in Port St. Joe, Florida, a woman discovered outside of a convenience store a Polaroid photo. And the photo was that, it was very disturbing. So I find it very disturbing. I'm going to show you the Polaroid. So if you're disturbed easily by images of, just disturbing images, shows young people bound and gagged. You might not want to look. So this is the Polaroid photo. So it shows a young boy on the right, blonde hair, bound and gagged, and on the left, a teenage woman, young woman, bound and gagged as well. And beside her is a V.C. Andrews novel, My Sweet Audrina, which was reportedly one of Tara Calico's favorite, or her favorite novel at the time. So that's a weird coincidence. The two kids seem to be in some sort of van. The convenience store said that before finding the Polaroid, a Toyota cargo van had been parked in that spot where she found the Polaroid. So, and you know, vans, reading instances of that, like there's so many van abductions that every time I see a creepy van, I'm like, okay, bye. Now the boy in the picture, who is he? He was never identified because it was thought to have been a young boy named Michael Henley who had gone missing in New Mexico right around the same time as Tara had. But upon further analysis, I guess it was found to be unlikely. It wasn't determined that it wasn't, but it was very unlikely that it was him. Michael's body was found in the Zuni Mountains eventually, so the investigators just assumed that, or they thought that he had just wandered off and died of exposure. The mother of Tara Calico firmly believes that the girl in the picture, however, is Tara Calico. The Scotland Yard's investigation, in their investigation, they concluded that the girl was Tara Calico. What do you guys think? Do you see? I personally don't know. I see a lot of similarities. In the pictures where she has 80s feathered hair, I don't know what it is about the 80s hairdos, but they made teenagers look like 30-year-old people, you know? Like, watch Saved by the Bell. Everyone looks like they're in their late 20s or 30s. Like, you know, Jesse, Ellie. It's the hair. And the clothes. But there's some pictures where Tara looks young. And I could see similarities. The eyebrow shape, a little off, but that could be how she tweezed, you know. Her mother said that she had gotten in a car accident. And she had a scar on her leg that was identical to the girl's in the picture. I don't really see the scar in the picture. You might have to pause the video to really look at it. So, I'm not sure. I thought the little boy looked a lot like Michael Henley as well. Rest his soul. Poor kid. Poor both of them. Disappearances are so heart-wrenching because you never have closure. You know, you just never have closure because you don't... Well, it's harder to get closure. Because you have no idea what happened to these people. Your loved ones, I mean, they could still be out there. Anything. You just... Your imagination runs wild with possibilities of what is happening to them. Are they in pain? Are they okay? You know? Now, some odd things have surfaced since the disappearance. Like, in 2009, the Port St. Joe police department received 2 more photographs of a sandy-colored haired boy, and the mouth had been drawn over in ink as if to, you know, to represent some kind of mouth cover. But the identity was never discovered of the boy in the picture. I guess a few years later, there was some other pictures of Terra Calico that surfaced, or potentially of Terra Calico. That's what was suspected. Now, the original Polaroid, the FBI's comparison to Terra Calico, like their determination if it was Terra Calico, was found to be inconclusive. There was another agency who did an analysis as well and found that it was not Terra Calico, as far as they believed. But the Scotland Yard and Terra Calico's mother do believe that it is her. I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts. So as of recently, I think in 2016, there was a 6-person task force that was assigned, again, to the case of Terra Calico. So I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, but I think her mother passed away, but maybe not. I thought I read that she had, and, you know, not ever knowing, going to your grave and not ever knowing what happened to your daughter, you know. Horrible. Like I said in one of my other Burger King videos, I think the guy's a crush on me. He always sauces me up. That story just always stuck with me. And as I was researching the case a bit, I was listening to Boston, and it kind of just really, like, gave me goosebumps, like, really put me there on that day, you know, 1988. Could just picture her listening to that music. You know, we've all done it a million times. Put on her earbuds, favorite tune, and went for an innocent walk or bike ride, never assuming, never even thinking that anything bad would happen to us. There was a psychic that made a call into the Port St. Joe police department and had reported that she had met a stripper in California that was Tara, but she had been murdered and now she's buried in California. Nothing has ever been found, you know, so yeah, that's that. So I hope they find out what happens. I really, really do, because it's a mystery that the world wants to know. What happened to you, Tara, you know? So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hey, Foodie Beauties, what is up? What is up? Welcome to Mystery Monday, another episode of Mystery Monday. So today I have for you here some shrimp fried rice. So I just put a whole bunch of spices, some shrimp, some mushrooms, some asparagus. So just, you know, day before payday, just using whatever's left over in my fridge. And yeah, I mean, I've done a recipe for this, but literally fried rice, you just take whatever you have. Use any oil you want. Peanut oil, coconut oil, olive oil. I used olive oil. Take any rice you want. Long grain, brown long grain, white long grain, wild rice. Any rice you want to use. And add any vegetables, any protein, any meat, beans, whatever. I mean, add whatever you want, any spices you want, and you have your fried rice. And just cook the rice separate. Add it to the pan with the veggies, sauteed veggies, and that little bit of oil, and fry it at the end for a little bit on medium heat, and you're good to go. So, okay, so this today's story or topic of the bloop, which I'll explain in a minute. It was inspired by, I was up late last night, till like 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I was watching a documentary on these deep sea explorers and marine biologists or whatever. They were looking for a giant squid in the deep sea. And I remember a quote from that documentary saying, like, we know more about the moon, we know more about Mars than we do about some parts of the ocean, the deep ocean. And that's because it's very, very, very hard to explore down there. I mean, the pressure alone, I mean, you know, makes it impossible for any actual human to actually go down there, you know, without being in some kind of vessel. I think James Cameron managed to make it to the Marianas Trench. The Marianas Trench is the deepest area of the ocean, and the Challenger Deep is the deepest point in the whole sea, the whole ocean, any ocean on Earth. So, it was thought for a long, long time that life could not live down there because there's no light that penetrates down there whatsoever. There's no plant life, and the pressure alone is so strong. Like, if you were to go down there, you would never make it to the full bottom. You would explode, or I mean, the pressure would just crush you. To give you an idea of how deep the deep ocean is, the deepest area I think is about close to 36,000 feet, and Mount Everest is like 29,029 feet or something like that. So you could fit Mount Everest and then some in the ocean, in the deepest part of the ocean. The deep ocean fascinates me, just things that are mysterious. That's why I'm doing this series. But because it's mysterious, it's so vastly unexplored. Imaginations run wild. What kind of... It's thought that large sea creatures live down there. the deep sea squid, the giant sea squid, it does live down there. H.P. Lovecraft wrote about Cthulhu, the Call of Cthulhu, giant ancient god sea monster. And that's creepy. So I'm actually afraid to swim in the ocean because I think of what's lurking under there if I can't see. The bloop, maybe you've heard of it. In 1997, a low frequency sound was caught on, you know, the ocean radars or whatever. There's like different radar systems that monitor ocean sounds. You know, they listen for things like to capture different types of marine life sounds or earthquakes underwater, things like that. Well, they picked up a low frequency sound that was heard for like the distance to which it could be heard was like 5,000 miles away or whatever. The measurements of the sound were analyzed, and you know, experts determined that, you know, they theorized it was from a the source had to be from a very large type of sea creature, bigger than a blue whale. Recently, some have tried debunking it, saying that it might just be ice chipping off from somewhere, but that's not proven. So the source of the noise is still, I mean, they can theorize all they want, but it's not definitive. They still don't know what the actual source of the noise is. So I'm gonna play the noise for you. To me, honestly, sounds like a giant creature's whale fart or something. Ooh, you know how farts sound underwater. So I'm gonna play the noise. So you might need headphones, I'm not sure, but I'll play it now. Weird, eh? So, I don't know. To me, that's what it sounded like. You know me! Has anyone heard any other theories about what it is? Just freaked me out. Like, there's so many mysterious captured noises of the deep sea, and like the fact that we have only discovered a small percentage of what actually lurks in there. I'm sure we're going to discover in the next, you know, few hundred years or so, whatever, a lot of things that might surprise us. Yeah, so in this documentary, they did find some kind of large, like, giant squid. They've never actually captured a giant squid, you know? It's still so mysterious. Like, the only bits and pieces they have of it are, you know, body parts of it that have washed up on shore. You know, sometimes a sperm whale will eat one for dinner. And you can see on the whale all these marks, suction cup marks, because the giant squid has so many suction cups on his tentacles. And he has these two long, extra long, protruding tentacles. And those usually get ripped off if they get in a fight with a whale, if they're fighting for their life. So oftentimes, one of those tentacles will be found on a whale. An eye of a giant squid is the size of my head. Very large. I have a large head. They're very intelligent creatures. Their tentacles freak me out. I had a nightmare once where I was swimming in the ocean and a big octopus was coming towards me with a big floppy head, and his tentacles kept coming towards me and were touching me, and the suction cups were like sucking at my skin. Ugh. But I do find them to be fascinating creatures. Yeah. So I guess that's it. I don't really know what else to say. I mean, there's not really much to say about it because it's still an unsolved mystery, you know? I think it sounded similar to like a whale call, but on a much grander scale. And if you think that the blue whale is the largest, have you seen one of those washed up on shore? Blue whale is the largest creature in the world. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so thanks guys for watching as always, and stay tuned next Monday for another episode of Mystery Mondays. Bye, Foodie. What is up, my Foodie fam? Today I'm going to talk about somebody really wants me to talk about, and I really want to talk about. There's a couple people have asked me to talk about. Oh my god, I'm so scatterbrained. Welcome to Mystery Monday. So we're going to talk about a mystery. Today I'm going to talk about the strange death of Elisa Lam. Now it is a very popular case, so I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. It's very strange, so let's get into it. Elisa Lam was a Canadian. She was from British Columbia, Vancouver, and she was traveling around on what she called a West Coast tour. Her parents were immigrants from Hong Kong, and Elisa Lam was a bit troubled. She seemed like a lost soul. She suffered from mental disorders like bipolar disorder, and was on medication for them, a few medications. And she was on this West Coast tour, and she ended up in LA. She was a university student. She was very bright. One quote that she had on one of her blogs, or it might have been on her Tumblr, was a quote from a Chuck Palahniuk book, and it was, "You're always haunted by the idea that you're wasting your life." She was a very smart, thoughtful girl, you know? I don't know about you, but I can totally relate to that lost soul feeling, you know? So she was on this tour, and she ended up oh man, this meal is worth being fat for. In January 2013, she ended up at the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel is right out of nightmares, you know, has a shady history. Black Dahlia is linked to that hotel, which she was also strangely murdered. You can look her case up. Richard Ramirez, the satanic serial killer guy. And it's right not far from Skid Row in Los Angeles. Probably the worst neighborhood or section of Los Angeles. All homeless people, a lot of crime, a lot of drug use and things. Now, she was staying at the Cecil Hotel, and she, you know, every day she kept into contact with her parents while she was away, which is reasonable. I mean, my mom would want me to do that. So on January 31st, when she didn't contact her parents, they became worried and reported her missing. And here's the gross part. And if you're really squeamish, you know, look away or whatever. Mute. Me? I can eat spaghetti and talk about this, so. Residents at the Cecil Hotel started complaining about their water, the water pressure not being up to par. The water was a strange blackish color, brownish color. So, they sent a staff member up to the water tanks on the roof to check it out. And then lo and behold, in one of the water tanks on the roof of the Cecil Hotel, floating about a foot from the surface of the water, was the deceased, bloated body, decomposing body of young Elisa Lam. And her clothing and a couple of belongings were floating around her. She was naked. I don't remember how old she was. I'll have to find her age and put it in here. So she was found. So tragically, rest her soul. I mean, it's so tragic. Now, in the subsequent days, there was a lot of mystery shrouding her death. I mean, how did she get in the water tank, you know? An autopsy was done on her body, and the coroner determined that it was an accidental drowning, with possibly her bipolar having something to do with it. There was no sign of sexual trauma, or any trauma, physical trauma. No signs of foul play. Now, people thought maybe she was on drugs. You know, like, you know the guy on bath salts that shoot off that homeless guy's face in Florida, the Florida zombie. So people thought she was on drugs or something, and maybe it caused her to whack out, you know, with her mental disorder and drown herself in the water tank. Now, the toxicology reports determined that there was nothing in her system of that nature, except for traces of her regular medication and a little bit of alcohol. It gets worse. And a lot of you who know this case have seen this video. On February 14th, police have released CCTV footage of, so basically the camera that was in the hotel elevator. This was filmed on February 1st, thought to be very shortly before Lisa Lam died, and in the same day, certainly. You see, you'd have to, you know, I'll leave the link in the description to the video. You have to watch it. It's disturbing, but you have to watch it because it's so strange. It shows Elisa getting in the elevator, you know, and just standing there. And when she gets in, she presses all the buttons, and then she backs into the corner, you know, as if she's hiding from someone, and waiting for the elevator, you know, the elevator to close. When the elevator doors don't close, she's just peeking around the corner, gets back in, as if she's hiding from somebody. She gets out of the elevator, she's doing weird motions and movements, like with her hands and the way she's moving, and it looks like she's talking to somebody, but there's no one there. So, you know, eventually she just walks off. But what's strange is that immediately after she walks off, not long after, the elevator door closes. But it stayed open the whole time that she was in the elevator and just outside of the elevator. I mean, I've seen a lot of theories about what happened, you know, in that elevator incident. So that can be the theories. Oh my god. A couple of other interesting things is that if you've seen the Japanese horror movie or the American remake with what's her face, Jennifer Connelly, Dark Water. That's pretty much exactly her death was pretty much exactly like that story about the girl who got, you know, drowned in the water tank or whatever. It's a great horror movie. Watch it. Really good. Either one. This is very, very bizarre. Another interesting thing is that at that same time, there was a tuberculosis outbreak around Skid Row, and the tuberculosis testing kit is called Lam-Elisa. Look it up. So of course, I mean, that's one hell of a coincidence. I mean, you know what I mean? It's creepy. It's really strange, and people don't know what to think. You know, people are speculating, or just how did she get in the water tank? I mean, to me, okay, this is my opinion. Leave me in the comments yours. I definitely want to hear some. I think there's foul play. I think it's supernatural. And I'm the most skeptical person. But I cannot figure out for the life of me. If you watch the elevator video, she's talking to something or someone, and she's just acting so bizarre, so out of character, you know. And with the darkness that already surrounds that hotel, how she got on the roof. Some people are saying it's impossible without a key. Going up the fire exit wouldn't be. I mean, it's doable, but it's not easy. And how she got in the water tank. I mean, these water tanks are huge. They're on these big cement blocks. The little door is very hard to open, like just a little opening. And so, you know, I mean, why was she naked? Would she take her clothes off and get in the water tank? I mean, if you're gonna kill yourself, why would you go in the water tank to do it? I don't know. It just, nothing makes any sense, and I just get a really eerie feeling watching that footage, the elevator footage. So I really don't know, but there's a ton of information out there. You know, tons of theories, speculations. You know, what do you guys think? I'm curious. This cat thinks she's getting on the table. I stopped letting her on here when I'm eating because I put her down because she knocks things over. She tries to play with my ice cube. She steals my straw. You know. So, I mean, it's still a mystery how she died. People are just letting it rest that. I don't know if I think they closed the investigation, you know? I mean, if that was my daughter, I'm sure her parents want to know what happened, you know? Like, I don't know. I mean, it is possible that she had just some kind of major psychotic situation, but I'm trying to be open-minded. I mean, there are things we can't explain. There are people who think that everything can be explained in terms of science. Maybe this is one of those things that we aren't able to explain in our terms of science as we know it now. I don't know. That was actually only like a quarter of the box. A little more than a quarter of the box. Sam! No, Sam. I'm so sick of taking her down. Sam! Well, I guess it's time to go. Sam. No, Sam. I love saying that. No, Sam. Anyways, guys. Oh, you're so cute. Anyways, guys. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments. Watch that video. I'll leave it linked below. I remember the first thing that stuck out about the whole case was, you know, number one, how sad it is. Number two, the corpse water, gross. Number three, the elevator thing was just so freaky, so be sure to check it out. And, bye, Tam. Say bye, Tam. Hi, Rena. Hello. My foodie beauties love you. Okay, Rena's having a drink here. I don't know what it is. And we're sharing these appetizers. So this is artichoke spinach dip with naan, pita, and tortillas. And these are deep fried cheese curds, guys. And I'm having a Caesar. Yes. Yummy. So I'm here with Rena at the Royal Oak. I don't have my recording stand, but I'm going to eat a deep fried cheese curd for you guys. Oh my god, Rena. This food. So good. Your cheese. So I'm eating fries and gravy and a spicy buffalo chicken wrap. And Rena, I'll show you her food after. Once she's done, we're done with the appetizers. There's no room. So Rena has shepherd's pie, a good club favorite here, and salad. Yum. What is up, foodie beauties? Welcome back to another episode of Mystery Monday. Yeah, the air conditioning season will be over anytime, and you won't have that background noise, so don't worry about that. So grab something to eat, grab something to drink, whatever you want, and come and chill out and talk about mystery. So I'm talking, if you're new here, I do this series every Monday, and I talk about unsolved mysteries, mostly things that interest me, and things that are strange and not explainable by modern science, or cases that have not yet been solved. And today is a disappearance case that has not been solved, as far to my knowledge, that, you know, as far as I know. And I'm going to be eating. Today is like leftovers, what's in the freezer day. I'm sorry it's not an elaborate meal. So I just have some pizza pops. So let's get right into the story. Alright, so imagine you and your best friend celebrating your sweet 16 at your friend's home. It's supposed to be a great night, right? You're having a little party. Life couldn't be better. You're high school students on the honor roll, cheerleading, popular. Life is great. And then one night, all of that changes. On December 29th, 1999, in a small town in Oklahoma, Gloria Bible was staying at her best friend Ashley Freeman's, celebrating her 16th birthday. Gloria Bible's boyfriend was there, celebrating. Ashley Freeman's parents, Danny and Kathy Freeman, were there. And they lived in a trailer home. Gloria told her parents she would be home by noon the next day. Well, when she never returned, her parents became concerned, and it was discovered the next day that sometime during the night, in the middle of the night, the trailer had completely burned down. There was a fire. Everything was burned to the ground, almost to ashes. And the boyfriend had said, you know, it must have happened in the middle of the night because the boyfriend had left around 9:30 p.m. that night and had said everything was fine when he left. So the sheriff's department went out, along with Laura Bible's parents, and they scoped the area. So there were 4 people in the home that night, and they only discovered 1 body amongst the rubble. They ended up discovering the body of Kathy Freeman. Now the medical examiner, what was strange about, you know, you figured she probably died in the fire, right? Well, no. To add to the mystery, she was actually killed close range by a shotgun. Shot to the head by a close range shotgun. Probably didn't have much of her head left. So where were the other 3 missing bodies? Well, the next day, the Bibles couldn't accept the fact that, you know, they wanted to go look at the rubble, the burned down area themselves. So they returned to the site, started combing through the rubble, and within 5 minutes, they found a second body with half the head missing. To me, that's indicative, you know, that was another close-range shotgun killing. They called the sheriff's department. What's baffling about that is how did the sheriff's department, combing the area for however long the day before, missed a whole body, you know? And the Bibles found it in 5 minutes. I know no police department's perfect, but come on, that's your job. So they report the body missing. Now it was the body of Danny Freeman, the father. So Kathy and Danny Freeman were found, both shot in the head with a shotgun, you know, burnt in them. And it had been determined also that the fire had been deliberately set. So the questions remain: where are the 2 girls, and who committed the crime? So there's a couple of theories and possibilities. One being that something strange was a little while before the murders occurred. Danny Freeman had told his brother, if anything happened, he was very stern and serious about this, he said, if anything happens to me, look to the sheriff's department. So that's kind of strange, you know? Apparently there was an ongoing feud with the Freemans and the sheriff's department after an officer had shot their son Shane for stealing a neighbor's truck and shotgun. They were saying it was unlawful, you know, unjustified, and the police department was saying otherwise. So it was thought that the sheriff's department was intimidating, you know, the Freemans from pursuing a case against them. To ease the public's mind against these accusations, the sheriff's department handed over the case to the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigations, who then conducted polygraph tests on all the members of the sheriff's department, and they passed with flying colors. So the sheriff's department officers were ruled out as suspects. So theory number 2. Apparently 2 weeks before the murders, Danny Freeman was seen outside of his trailer, arguing with 2 strange men. So there's always that theory that it was a drug deal gone wrong, maybe they abducted the girls. And my thought in that is, I don't know, I just find that a bit weird. I mean, it could have something to do with that. I mean, obviously they were murdered, but wouldn't they take the girls as a way of threatening to get their drug money? You know, if the 2 parents are dead, they're not going to get any benefit from that. So a third theory, and this might seem absurd a bit, at least to me, but it can't be ruled out, that Ashley Freeman killed her parents and took off with her best friend. You know, kind of like a Thelma and Louise high school version. Apparently, Ashley Freeman didn't get along well with her father. I mean, a lot of teenagers don't get along with their parents at that age, you know? I know I didn't. I'm not gonna go kill my parents, but it does happen. So, the thing with that is that it's been however many years since they've been missing, since 1999. You do the math, not me. And 2 young girls who are supposedly goody two-shoes, cheerleader, perfect, you know, never any problems, never any history of anything, would be able to be on the run that long. Plan this, you know, plan this murder and be on the run for that long and not ever get caught or anything, get noticed. That I find very unlikely. Not like they're experienced killers or anything, you know? There was also a $50,000 reward out for any information or any sightings of the girls. I'm sure that something would have come up, you know, but nothing ever has. I really don't know what to think, because unless it was criminals, you know, he got caught up in the drug trade, and they stole the girls and put them into the sex slavery, human trafficking thing. Usually girls who are sold into the sex slave trade aren't ever heard from again. They become dependent on drugs, you know, lose themselves completely. It's really sad, and are hidden from the outside world. Let me know your thoughts. Have you heard of this case? I find it so bizarre. I have my glasses on. I was using them to watch TV and I forgot to take them off. I started in high school when I couldn't really see the chalkboard, so I went to the eye doctor and they prescribed me some glasses so that I can see the chalkboard. But I have astigmatism. My eyes are like football shape or something. So my vision increasingly gets worse. And now I'm supposed to wear them all the time, but I don't. I mean, up close I can see fine, you know? Anyways, guys, thank you for watching this episode of Mystery Monday. I hope you enjoyed, and please leave your comments below. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.